This is Daniel Cerrone, writer of episode 807, Chemical Mary. You're listening to the Blacklist Exposed on Golden Spiral Media.
Chops, ribs, butt, tenderloin, and yes, pulled, never shredded. Welcome to the award-winning The Blacklist Exposed podcast. I'm Agent Troy Heinrichs.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. And he's right. Running in a towel never, ever ends well. I've actually done that. It didn't go well. Plus, we have a special guest joining us this week, direct from the set himself. Please welcome Special Agent Anthony Pepe to the show.
Hello, everybody.
He is Captain Special Effects. He's the one that does all that sweet burn makeup and blood.
To be specific, I'm the makeup department head of the Blacklist. I'm in charge of everybody's looks.
Except for Aaron's.
Except for mine. Can you pretty this up? Is there anything you can do to make this a little prettier? That would be great.
I'm a makeup artist, not a magician.
Wow. That was completely unnecessary.
Pepe's going to fit right in this week.
Well, thank you for joining us yet again for number 143 on the Blacklist, Chemical Mary, written by Daniel Cerrone and directed by Christine Moore. Show notes and other intel for this episode of The Blacklist Exposed can be found at theblacklistexposed.com. And I do want to clarify before we get into this, Mr. Pepe is on the show, but he will not be talking past episode 6. Or is it 7?
7.
7.
That's what he meant. He will not be talking past episode 7. So all the people are going to write in, why didn't you ask him this? Why didn't you ask him that? Because he can't answer those questions.
Not that I can't. I won't.
Both. Fine. He won't. Whatever it is, he's not gonna. So we're not going to ask him. So there are a couple things that we're going to talk about speculation, and he probably can't participate, but we'll see what happens when we get there.
Translation, save your fingers. Don't send the email.
Yeah, I'm not going to read it. So let's be honest. I mean, I only read the ones Troy makes me read.
Exactly right.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We basically go through a little bit of a recap from last week with a profiling question of the week. And then as we move into this week's conversation, we'll talk all about Chemical Mary and what she is fond of and not fond of with Mr. Pepe himself, as we talk about all of the things that he brought to the table for this episode. Then we'll hear wise words from Red's Frederick, and of course, special agent intel at the end of the show. So first, let's go ahead and recap a little bit with our favorite memories of one Jellybean, Glenn Carter, Glenn with one N. We had asked all of you last week, give us your favorite memories of Glenn's time on the show. What did they have to say, Aaron?
Wendy Wales said my favorite Glenn moment is all of them. However, special mentions go to jury duty, dyslexia, pills, and the bowling scenes.
Michelle Jones said, my favorite Glenn memory is when he helped Red find Alan Fitch's apartment and messes it up. And of course, that was the dyslexia episode as well. So everybody likes the dyslexia bit for some reason. I personally like the bowling. Bowling was my favorite. What about you, Pepe?
Wow. Clark was such an awesome presence. We looked forward to him every time he showed up to work. I have to say one of my favorite, the bowling one's great. The apartment one is great. The hands on a hard body was fantastic. But I always was akin to the scene where Leslie Jones was waiting in the DMV, sat next to Spader, and there's a cut shot of Clark laughing his ass off in the window, watching the whole scene play out as Leslie's messing with James. Mm-hmm. That always resonated with me. I always see my mental picture of Clark is that image of him laughing. Yeah, and we miss him, man. We actually we made a little shrine in the hair makeup room for him. We have the yellow headband that he wore for the hands on the hard body, and we have like a little electric candle and a photo of him, and we miss him terribly. He was not of this earth. He was something else,
Did you tack up the white Cheeto gloves like the football players do after touchdowns?
No. We never got those. No. But yeah, we miss him very much.
Well, I think that's enough on Jelly Bean. Our question for next week, will Red kill Cooper?
It's a good one. It's going to be tough. I don't know. What do you think, Aaron?
Well, you said that because you wrote it. So, of course you think it was pretty good.
Will Red kill Cooper?
Mm-hmm. That's what Troy's question is.
Oh, that's... Could he? Harry's a big man.
is true.
From afar.
From afar.
My answer would be no, but we'll see what the listeners think.
All right. We'll see next week. But before someone erases our hard drives, let's go ahead and get into this week's case profile.
Okay, so here's what happened in this episode. Liz's plan is starting to come together, or is it? And before we move on, this is where we're going to have this little conversation real quick. Now, Pepe, I realize you can't. I'm sorry, I got to call you Anthony. I just like the name Pepe. So
everybody calls me Pepe on set. My name is Anthony Pepe, but call me what you want.
Okay, well, it's going to be Pepe then.
Makeup,
all right, so
hey, makeup dude.
this is a question I got to ask, and I know Pepe probably can't say anything, obviously, because he knows the answer. So, Troy, just you and I, a lot of fans keep asking, what's going on with Liz? What's going, is it a Megan thing? Da da da. Well, you guys listening should always know I never will ever speak to personal issues with an actor. I just don't do gossip stuff, so I'm not addressing that. But in terms of the character, do you appreciate what's going on with Liz out of focus, where she hasn't been quite? I mean, we saw the back of her head in this episode. What do you think? Do you like this story play where Liz is out of sight and hasn't actually been active in the last few episodes? I
absolutely do. I love I think I said it the first time we talked about it a couple weeks ago when it first initially started happening. I really believe that Liz made a decision to go against Red, and if you're going to go against Red, then the only way Liz comes back into the picture is if it's a Liz and Red episode only, or it's a Liz episode only, or maybe a Liz and Wrestler episode, because Wrestler, he wants to get seconds. So you gotta be able to. Wow. But
how did you get a wife? That's what I want to know.
How did you get an ex-fiance? I don't think they were ever married.
No, I'm talking about Troy. I'm saying, how did Troy ever get a wife?
Oh, yeah. No. But no, I love it. I love the way the story's going. I think it's great to feel the presence of Liz and the things she's doing to Red and keeping Red on his toes, because I think Red's gotten complacent over the years. Like, he thinks he's untouchable. And even though Kaplan destroyed his entire empire and he was able to come back from the ashes in that regard and still like, oh, look, like I was decimated and I can still win. I think this is really great for Reddington to have to be able to have to think again. And now that he's thinking, but also with potential dementia, potential illness, all of those things coming into play, it really takes the story into a new direction. So from a story perspective, I absolutely appreciate where we're at right now.
I have to agree. I think one of the breath of fresh air on the show is how, in a way, with Liz Keane being in the wings, is sort of akin to how Berlin was in season 1. The mystery of this Berlin who kept threatening Reddington, and seeing Reddington on his toes and moving around and making the moves. I really like the way it's going.
I really liked it now that this episode came to play, because there's actually a moment where I'm like, is Red doing this? Is he like secretly playing like he's Liz and with these pieces to try to force her out or try to force her hand, because she's like, if she starts thinking that horrible things are being attributed to her, she's going to come out to defend herself. I actually thought that was an angle for a while. But this episode kind of illustrated that he's really, really kind of frightened. And I've always said my favorite possibility for Liz is actually getting to a point where it makes Red scared in any capacity. And it feels like we're there. And I like that. I like that a lot.
He almost said that a little bit in his opening monologue when he's talking to Cooper and Dembe at the restaurant. Like, he's at that point where he is worried about her because she's gone a little bit too far. I think the challenge that we're going to have moving forward is, now that we've seen, she got the Freelancer out. What is she going to do with the Freelancer? Oh, but now the Freelancer's captured again because she tipped everybody off and said where they could find him. But now Chemical Mary's out there. But is Chemical Mary just going to get kidnapped and brought back in and arrested 2 episodes later? So you're going to get this like ping pong thing with what she does and then what she doesn't do. And I don't want that to happen. Like, make a commitment. Either she's like badass 100% and she goes off the deep end at some point and we have to save her, or she's always doing the right thing. So far she's done the right thing, right? She gives Cooper the flash drive. She's given the FBI back the Freelancer so that they can arrest him straight up for the plane incident. And now we have to see what Chemical Mary's doing.
Always the right thing is really not the angle I would go with on that one, because she's still breaking some laws.
Well, sure. But I mean,
Okay. Okay.
you know what I mean, though? Like, she's still working.
Almost crashed some planes. I mean,
she's still working for the angle, though, that she's trying to do good at the end of the day.
I mean, good is okay. Sure. I don't know if I'd word it that way, but I get what you're saying. I still say almost crashing 2 planes is a pretty significant leap. Now, yeah, made sure that they didn't happen, but that's pretty vicious.
It's interesting because, I mean, Liz is not a bad person. She's not a murderer.
Mm-mm.
They've never established her as a murderer, Tom Connolly aside. You know, she takes care of the bad guys. Liz hired the freelancer to do a gig. The freelancer was the one who was going to throw the planes down. You know, it wasn't really Liz per se. Maybe she didn't even tell him to do it. I just need you to get rid of Mary Bremer, and the freelancer made his own device on how to do it. I don't think Liz would sit there and say, you're going to knock these 2 planes out of the sky. It might have just been the freelancer's idea to do that. That's his MO. You know? Or did she hire the freelancer because she knows he's the type of guy to level, you know, a train or a plane or something like that? So, I mean, she's involved in some bad things, but, you know, the old saying about making an omelet, you know, she's got to. And Liz has always been on the other side of the law, even in season 3 when she was on the run with Reddington. So I think that I wouldn't say she's a murderer, though. She's not. Everything she's doing has to be calculated in some way.
But is murdering by omission murdering?
Oh my God, this guy. This guy, really. Just breaking eggs in the sky. That's all she's doing. That's what I'm saying. All right. Well, this week we meet Chemical Mary, a woman that believes if the world has nukes, that it should also have sarin gas and a host of other nasty chemical weapons at its disposal. She's working on a weapon, HeePhoxy. HeePhoxy? HeePhoxy.
It wasn't HeePhoxy because I think that's like a glue. I think it was HeePhoxy is what
This is the problem when you have someone else write it. Like Troy wrote it, and I don't know what this word is. So let's go with
HeePhoxy. Yeah.
You're foxy. That even the mere touch of it to human skin will shut down all organs of the victim, suffocating them from the inside out. Why does Liz want Chemical Mary? That's the question for next week. And I did love the example of how that worked. I thought that was actually pretty cool.
With the pig or with the bad guy?
No. I felt bad for the pig. Well, wasted pork. When she gave it to the thug.
The assistant.
Yeah, the assistant.
I always call them assistants, or we call them goons on the show. Like,
goons works.
These are, you know, Reddington's goons, or these are these goons, or whatnot.
But was this goon 1 or goon 2? I guess that's.
I want to say this is good. This is probably goon 16. I don't know, but he did it. He did it good. We did that scene a couple times, and he handled it very well. The pig nailed it on the first take, though.
The pig nailed it on the first take. Now, was that a real pig the whole time, or was that?
So, movie magic.
Nice.
Obviously, it was a real pig for the wide shots. The close-ups, we used a giant silicone pig built by a special effects friend of mine here in New York, Thomas Denier Jr., who is one of the top-of-line effects artists in the city, in the country, basically. He worked on a lot of big projects. And he had made a silicone pig for another film. And when we got the script, the props department came up to me and goes, Pepe, where in the world are we going to find a fake pig? I'm like, aha, I know a guy who has a pig. And it was pretty close to size, and we used it. The scene when it dropped, the feet, the shaking, and the foaming out of the mouth were all the fake pig. You know, and we painted it up a little bit just to match the real one. And movie magic, it looked fantastic on set. I'll send you some pictures. It was pretty amazing. Tom Denier, he built the pig, did an amazing job with it.
It looked very real.
You couldn't call him for the bear back in season 5?
The bear. Oh, geez, I forgot about the bear. You mean the bear that takes out Mojan's killer?
Yeah.
The Blacklister, the big guy. Yeah. That was probably one of the more fun days on set.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to hang out with a bear?
You should have seen that guy. He was so into it. That guy came in fully bear-tastic, ready to go.
Really?
Never mind the fact that he was like, 4'9", but it worked so great. It was so much fun. But yeah, the pig worked really well, and we shot Don O'Reilly is our prop master on the show. He and I we wrestled that pig, we knocked it over, I put foam in its mouth, and movie magic.
Who does wrestlers' hair?
Angie Johnson, the hair department head, does.
She is great. She does a wonderful job.
Yeah, Angie Johnson is our hair department head, and she is a wonderful soul. She does all the hair on the show with her amazing team of artists, and wrestlers' hair has never looked better.
Does he use Gorilla Glue?
Jeez.
Sorry. Just kidding. Just kidding.
I that's a whole nother, you get me on another day, I'll tell you all about how I feel about that stuff.
That's funny. All right. Well, this week is the how she gets Chemical Mary through the use of the Freelancer instead of what we're worried about for next week. Liz tasks Alban to corrupt the plane sensors so that it will crash into another plane. Chemical Mary is supposed to be on that plane, but instead she abducts Mary at the airport. This is so complicated. Abducts Mary at the airport before she makes it onto the plane, and instead tips off Red and the task force on how to prevent the crash from happening. I think that happened, right? Giving the FBI the Freelancer to put back behind bars. So it's a very, very convoluted yet kind of intriguing plan. And then Aram and Cooper, however, they have bigger problems with the flash drive, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And even though Aram figured out how to read what was on it, the act may have just sealed Cooper's fate and certain doom, and we'll come back to that. But what did you think about the whole Chemical Mary, the ploy to get her allegiance? Because I don't know if that's the case when you see her screaming from captivity at one point at the end.
And the woman she's screaming for is the woman, even Liz, that she's screaming for. You're assuming it's Liz, but maybe there's another player that we haven't met yet.
I still say I wonder if Red's doing this. I sincerely, part of me thinks maybe he's doing it to flush her out, like pretending to be Liz from The Wings.
So you're going to be one of those people that like rile up the internet and have to come up with the extra theory versus go with the simple one for the change. You're going to go with the crazy ass one, and I'm going to be the one that's the reason all of a sudden.
I've thought it in each of the last 3 episodes, and I never said it. I'm saying it now just in case it happens. Then I can be like, look out, just like you do with yours every damn week. I'm just going to pretend like I called it. Like
you sound like Troy.
Yeah, it is a little Troy.
Instead of Red Arena, we now have Lizington. That's
no, that's something else.
Something else. That's something else. Totally.
That's the theory of Red and Liz romantically being involved.
Stop right there.
I don't write them. I just deliver. But yeah, so that's fun. I don't, at the end of it, I don't think it anymore, but I've definitely, like, over the last 3 episodes, I've thought it a couple times. Like, that would actually be really clever to flush her out, to make her feel like she's responsible for stuff she had nothing to do with. So she'll come out of the shadows to confront Red because she wants him to stop putting these things on her. That's kind of what
so she could clear her name, basically.
Yeah, essentially. To drive her out that way.
It's not clearing her name, though. I mean, she's flying around on a G4 jet with Skip Hadley and her daughter going to Tahiti or God knows where. So it's like, why would she want to be flushed out? She's escaped, technically.
True.
And for Red to flush her out, for what purpose? It's
because he thinks she's trying to kill him or will destroy him or something because of that flash drive.
I think he's got bigger problems. It's sort of like, I don't know. I don't agree with your theory. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't think it's a good one. I just had it.
Oh, well, it's okay.
It's not one of my better ones. It's just something I've thought a few times. I'm like, why not? Let's throw it out there. So this flash drive, we find out by the end that you get the fingerprint, which turned out to be Red's. Mm-hmm. And now it's unlocked. Mm-hmm. So.
And now we literally wait a couple days for the internet to do its thing and actually translate everything that was on the 3 screens that we saw.
Yeah, somebody's going to figure that out.
Yes.
Somebody reads Russian.
That is the Blacklist. That's the Blacklist at goldenspiralmedia.com. The Blacklist at goldenspiralmedia.com. Send it over when you got the translation for us.
It's called Ipsum Dolorum. Is that what it's called? Where it's just the same nonsensical text?
Lorem Ipsum.
Lorem Ipsum. That's what it's called, yeah.
The website placeholder text.
Yeah.
Which I think it'd actually be really funny if they went through and actually did the Google Translate to get the Russian, and it does actually end up being the Lorem Ipsum. I think that would be actually really funny.
Are people actually going to translate all that?
Yes. Oh, yes. Somebody will.
It definitely says something.
Yeah, it's the internet. Yes, somebody has the time, and we admire them.
Yeah,
somebody's already done it. But
they're like, I don't care what the end of the episode is. I already paused it and took screenshots.
I think it says watch Blacklist 8:00. Watch Blacklist 8:00 Friday night. I would like
Eastern.
to say that. That's fun. Eastern, right?
All right, let's go into characters, Troy.
You bet. Music this week as Cooper and Red review the terminal footage of Elizabeth potentially sitting there as they try to understand Liz's plan. We hear Long Way Down by Katie Garfield, and that was the only one besides the bed track this week. So you can go ahead and get that and all the great music on the Blacklist over on the playlist at theblacklistexposed.com. We got them for Apple and for Spotify, so make sure you check those out. And there might even be Aaron singing from last week up there as well. He doesn't know about it, but no. I submitted to Spotify on his behalf.
Sweet. I'll take royalty checks. That 5 cents will go a long way. All right, well, we kick it off with park. We kick it out of the park? I don't know. You can probably say it like that. She's feeling massive guilt and fear for being in Red's debt. And we finally get a little bit of the flashback to what happened last week, where it fills in the gaps of how she made this deal with Reddington. And it looks like the guy was alive. We thought he was dead last week. He was still alive. So apparently Red and Dembe are going to kill him.
Yeah, thoughts on where he might end up?
That guy?
Yeah, buried in the ground, put in a barrel and floating in the ocean somewhere, like
bottom of the ocean, probably something along those lines. Sure. And there was the one. Was it a video he made?
Yeah, video of her on like his phone or her phone, and then Red was like, "Don't touch it with your fingerprints," which I thought was dumb. A little foreshadowing for the end of the episode, right? Never leave video evidence in the hands of the most notorious criminal you know. That's what I say. You know what? I'll take care of the video. I'll take care of that one. You take care of the dead guy or soon to be dead guy. I'll take care of the evidence of myself.
Do you think maybe Park should have just destroyed the phone before she even called Reddington? Yes. She already knew what was on there.
Hey, Reddington, I need help. Thanks. Hang up and break the phone in half.
But she was panicking, fearful. You know,
she couldn't see very well with all the blood in her face. That's what it was.
Park. I think Park's just playing crazy. You know, like there's something. I don't know her full story, but what we've seen so far of her with Alaska and with Frankie, she goes from 0 to 100 like in a second, and we love it. She's fantastic. Laura Sohn, she's the actress, and she's amazing. But we just love how 1 minute she's totally calm and collected and lucid, and the next thing you know, she's like Apocalypse Now, wiping blood off of her face, and it's just a mess. It's fun. She's a lot of fun.
I'm a fan. I am a fan. She's got a great I just whooped your ass face, and I think that's important in a character.
I will tell her that.
Yeah, she does. She just has you're beat. You know, she just has a great face for that. I like it. All right. Wrestler, he tries to find Chemical Mary through an associate. Ismail Aknos is the only person captured from her gang of thugs, but he hates Americans even more than the woman who tried to kill him, so he's not talking. But though we do get some of your work, Pepe, on him in the jail cell.
The burn makeup on Ismail, right? Ismail, right? That was his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that actor was actually pretty cool about it because he grew after that beard was real, and he let me shave that beard out to put the burn makeups on it.
Oh, I thought that was fake.
No, the beard was real. I just literally took chunks out of his beard with a razor, with a buzzer, put the prosthetics right on top of it, in the blank spots. And once we were done with the day, we shaved the entire beard off so he can actually in public and not, not get a net over his head and thrown in the back of a van.
Right.
But he was really cool about that. I told him, if we're going to do a burn makeup, and one of the things I always see about burn makeups on shows and on movies is a lot of people stop it at the hairlines, and, obviously if you're on fire, the first thing that's going to go is your hair.
Yeah.
So I always try and make a point to take out eyebrows, take out sideburns, go up into the hairline as much as I can. Like I did with Mary Bremer, where I literally took out half the side of her face. And Angie in the hair department thought of the great idea of having her brush her hair down over it. Well, we'll get to Mary in a little bit. But he took out the whole beard and everything, shaved his arm, did the whole arm piece. And Saad Mustafa, who is our director of photography, lit that scene so perfect that they could get real close on the makeup and you didn't see anything out of the ordinary. You didn't see any edges, if you will. So I was very happy with the way that came out.
It looked great. And I wasn't saying it looked fake. I just assumed it had to be fake because I couldn't imagine a guy letting you shave half his beard, but apparently he's cool with it.
He's cool.
People, some people, when you do special makeup, they're so into it. They're like, yeah, absolutely. Take out, because we're going to cut the beard off anyway. It'll come back, So let's just chop into it and make it really nasty.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, then Wrestler goes to Paris to find Mary and the baddie she's trying to sell the weapons to. That's really all Wrestler does this episode. Dembe makes a mean meat and potato pie, we find out. He also finds Bounty Hunter, which was the person that met with the interpreter from Wellstone and Sarajevo. I like that, but he also plays Watson to Red's Holmes, uncovering what Elizabeth's plan was this time. Troy, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, it was really interesting how we're at the end of the episode and Dembe just was kind of like, yeah, and Liz did this and Liz did that, and then Red's kind of like, oh, okay. It almost felt like Dembe was putting the pieces together a little bit quicker this week than Red was, and I think it's because Dembe has a soft spot for Liz. I think at the end of the day, he still knows that she's good. She wants to be good. And he knows that Red's put Liz through a whole crap ton to be in the point that she's at. So it's almost like he's the spiritual advisor from afar in trying to speak on her behalf for Reddington in that regard, or for Liz to Reddington.
I agree. I mean, Hisham, who plays Dembe, obviously he let her go. He had the gun on her, ready to go. But I've never considered Dembe a murderer like Reddington is. Dembe kills in defense of himself and for Reddington. But he doesn't just point blank shoot people because. He even stopped Reddington from killing the guy who was running the slave trade back in 206. I can't remember the names of the episodes.
Yeah, from the
anymore.
Mombasa cartel.
Mombasa cartel. Yeah, Peter Fonda.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Dembe's not a killer. He's a defender, a bodyguard, if you will. But he doesn't just point blank kill people like Reddington does. So he definitely wants Liz to travel. I would like to think he wants Liz to travel on the right path. And, she's been screwed over so many times by Reddington at this point that,
Hey, be careful.
Yeah, I agree with you, Aaron. She's doing the Linda Hamilton bit. She's been wronged so many times. She's trying to make it right.
Oh, hear that? I feel like a little piece of me just glowed inside, because that means I'm going to get another piece of email over that. But this time it'll be addressed.
Did I go past the? Did I go too much?
Oh no.
No. Anytime you side with Liz,
you're a little bit light. Keep it coming.
Too light. Liz is really Reddington.
This whole time.
Mr. Kaplan was a ghost the whole time. And Tom Keene really is a doctor.
As long as he's a dead doctor.
Dead Tom.
Yay.
Yes, he is dead. I painted him myself. We painted him dead.
There are people that keep hoping he'll come back. And I'm like, no, he's got a residency.
Ryan's got it too good right now. He does not need to come back to the Blacklist. Will he come back as a cameo down the road? Sure, why not? It depends who gets canceled first, Blacklist or New Amsterdam. So
he's probably
New
right
Amsterdam
now
goes first. He'll come back for a cameo.
He's just sitting around looking at his checks going, I'm kind of glad that redemption thing didn't work out. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I think he's saying.
I have the DVDs of that one, though. I liked it.
Yeah, that was a fun show.
It's a fun show.
That's a fun show. We need Eddie Gathegi back. That's what we need.
Yes, 100%.
Aram consoles Park. Being in debt to Red is like record scratch to your favorite song. And then I'm going to let you take this one because I will never say this right.
I think it was Rakitin.
Rakitin.
That's how you say it.
Oh,
okay. Thank God.
Look at that. I got one.
You did.
We do that a lot on set because we're always like, is it Rakitin? Or is it Russian? Is it Rakitin? Yeah, it's Rakitin.
Okay. Rakitin is a known hacker.
Dialect coach says.
I need a dialect coach is what I need. Rakitin is a known hacker or hackers that worked on the flash drive, but the password is still a mystery, but we find out how that works at the end. Also, Ram, gets denied a trip to Paris for his scones and coffee. You know, I kind of felt bad for him on this one because he is an agent now. He should be able to get the cool trips too. Park's the new one. She's newbie.
So who would you rather see then? Would you rather see Park and Wrestler, Park and Aram, or Aram and Wrestler out in the field? Which pairing do you think would be more fun?
I thought you were shipping or something. I'm like, well, definitely Aram and Wrestler.
Isn't there enough of that?
What is
yeah,
that?
I think so.
What is that? Ram?
What was the you mean in terms of partnerships?
Yeah, partnerships. Like who do you think plays the best off of each other if they were out in the field?
I think it's I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Park as a character. I think she's great. A fun addition. I like I've said for a year and a half now, she needs more to do. The Wrestler and Aram dynamic, I just think they play off each other well because Wrestler is such a Boy Scout kind of stoic character, and Aram is all over the place. I mean, he's like a hyped up, caffeinated baby sometimes. He's just bouncing off the walls. So I think they play off each other very well.
Yeah, see, I think the challenge I have is that Park and Aram out in the field together, I think is the more difficult one to buy, because I think that where Park is like She-Hulk and can go totally bonkers at any stretch of the imagination at any moment, she's also still got that kind of geeky, nerdy quality that she can almost one-up Aram in some ways sometimes with some of the things that she's able to find. So I think
she's sensible. I don't know if that she's just very, she's sensical.
But I think she has the skills too, though. Like she's like a half Aram, half wrestler in the same body that can kick some ass.
Aram absolutely should have stayed back at the war room because he already had a job to do. He was decoding the thing for Cooper, and I don't feel bad for him. No, Wrestler and Park are the point men. They go in, they clean house. I like when Aram does his solo things, like in the Architect episode, when he has his own, or the Wellstone Agency, when he has to infiltrate. He's better undercover work than he is kicking ass and taking names. I think that's just the way that character plays better. I believe that more,
Fishing things out of toilets, for example.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if you go back to the Osterman Umbrella Company, when Samar had to leave, just seeing those two on the road, she was the point man. He was trying to play like, what do? We should go to Cooper. We should do this. We should do that. He's not the field agent. He's not the survivalist, if you will. He can make things work, but he's better off if he has an undercover situation, an acting job, if you will, something where he can play, as opposed to shooting people down and kicking ass and knocking down doors. I believe that more for Aram.
Well, as the HR guy, the pandemic has taught me that you can work from anywhere. So Aram, I'm with you. Go get those scones. You can decrypt. You can decrypt that thing from a nice sunny cafe on the sidewalk.
Think of all the plane time he's had. I mean, he's on a plane for many hours, even though apparently they have a supersonic jet, because they went to Turkey, they went to Paris. I mean, they did a lot of travel on this episode.
Oh, I think the secret of the Blacklist is they bought up all the rest of the Concorde planes.
That would make a lot of sense. Either that or they've got a USS Enterprise and they're just beaming around because they get there pretty quick. All right. So he also, we learned the hot wing story, that his buddy and him often debate over hot wings. Like that's how they settle disputes. And I think that's a good solution. When somebody one-ups you, you should buy them wings. Troy, take note.
I got it down. I will send you as many as you'd like.
At the end of this thing, when a certain thing doesn't happen, I want wings, is what I'm saying.
I think that I'll take that bet, because that's a low cost to have to pay out for my thing that coming true.
You've never seen me eat wings, brother. All right, so we also learned from Aram that it's a biometric scanner, not a password that was expected, and that it requires a fingerprint, which leads us to Cooper. Cooper has actually quite a bit to do this episode. He enjoys a meal with Red and learns about Chemical Mary. And then we get this where he branches off and meets with the congressman, the chair of the House Intel Committee, the office that was hacked a few episodes back by Tadashi and our Daniel Steele fan. He says a CIA assessment there it is again.
Rakitin.
Rakitin is that he is using a series of servers in Volgograd, identity of CIA assets, and yes, are you doing this on purpose to me?
I told you there was a lot of bad ones this week. Yasenevo.
CIA assets, Yasenevo, and their funding sources. The NSA thinks it's a black market profiteer. CIA thinks it's a turncoat. Possibly N13, a Russian asset, a 30-year-old ghost story. Together, Rakitin, I got it, and N13 are an imminent threat. Now, here's where I have a question. Is it possible that, because we think we know Red is N13, right?
That was confirmed. By his Eastern friend. By his Eastern friend.
Could, I don't know. A lot of people believe that it's fake Katarina. A lot of people believe that Layla Robinson was fake Katarina, not real Katarina. She was a decoy. Is it possible that real Katarina could be Rakitin? Just throwing it out there.
That didn't even cross my mind. I'm pondering that one for a minute. Because he does say that they think that Rakitin and N13 together are an imminent threat. So that would mean two people in that context.
And there's a fun little wordplay with the Ram earlier where he was talking about pronouns and he's going, it could be he, it could be she, it could be they, I don't know, when he's talking about who Rakitin is.
Very interesting point. I didn't catch that.
But now that I say that name in my head again, Rakitin, I'm thinking that Rakitin was the handler for the Eastern friend that talked to Red in the limousine back in episode 4, because at the end of episode 4, Red says to Sikorsky that I told Rakitin the same thing I'm telling you, Elizabeth Keene is off limits. I could be wrong. The fans will correct me, of course, at the Blacklist GSM on Twitter. That's kind of what I'm thinking in my head now. But I focused more on the fact, and I thought that was Aaron's question, is why did you put ghost story in quotation marks? Because we've heard the term ghost story in relation to a certain Russian agent that has been a mystery over the years. They don't even know if Katerina is just a name that floats around between different Russians, much like N13 floats around between different spies out there in the mix. Because this guy doesn't even think N13 may exist. So I thought it was an interesting choice that they used ghost story to explain that situation, if you're in my theory camp.
Well, like I've always said, if you're stuck on one theory, everything comes back to that. So I'm not stuck on anything, and I'm going to kind of pay attention to this Rakitin thing.
You got it right.
It only takes like 6 or 7 tries.
The guy who played the congressman or whatever he was.
Yep.
That was Patrick Breen from Galaxy Quest.
Oh, that's right.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Whoa!
As soon as he showed up, he's been in a million other things too. But as soon as we saw him, we were like, "Oh my god, you're the guy from Galaxy Quest." Yeah, he was really cool. That was a fun day.
Wow! And you've had Tony Shalhoub on too, so you can actually start working through the rest of the
Tony Shalhoub, that was a great time too. Yeah, we've had a number of fun stars on the show.
I love him to death. He just seems like the most genuine, nice guy. Really, he does.
Yeah, he really was.
Okay. So now we've got this whole flash drive. It's been unlocked because Cooper apparently gets super techie at the end, and he figures out how to do this whole fingerprint thing in his office from a glass.
No, that's not super techie. He's a Fed.
That's true.
101 stuff. They learned that in the day one.
Yeah, don't ruin my jokes. All right.
I know how to take a fingerprint. It comes with the Boy Scout handbook.
Yeah, that was in there. I don't recall that one when I went.
I'm sure there's a keyboard warrior out there though that's like, well, you can't really pull the fingerprint from the glass because the glass was sweaty and it would have completely distorted it. And
first, you got to put crazy glue on it so the fumes attach to the dust, and then the dust lifts up. That's how you do it.
That's from a movie. I don't know if that's real or not. I don't know if that's real. Does that work? Have you tried it?
You mean the movie Lied?
The head makeup guy that works on movies and TV shows versus the political science major, film at 11.
I'm going to go with the political science major.
I was not political science. I was criminal law. So.
Oh, then you definitely got it. Yeah.
All right. Well, do you guys think that Cooper is definitely in imminent danger? Now, I really do think Red would defend him and would not go that route. I would like to think so, but then I reflect back to Gablin and Dembe, and how quickly he went after them when he thought they were
even Marvin Gerard.
And Marvin Gerard. So I want to pose this as an honest question, because I think the immediate answer people are going to say is, no, he would never, because I don't know. We casually forget that he would have killed Dembe, I believe, in that episode. If Dembe, that's why Dembe ran to try to prove his innocence, because he knew he would get killed. Do you think Cooper's in danger at this point?
I think so, because why would the friend in the East even bring Cooper up other than convenient TV writing? I think the minute he put in that flash drive in the computer, the flash drive has got a tracker on it, and it sent a signal to the friend in the East that say, hey, someone's got this flash drive and someone's trying to activate it. And then
it's got a GPS chip?
Yeah, and now that he actually activated it and turned it on, and hey, we got a signal coming back at us, and oh, the guy that's supposed to look at this is literally sitting across the table. That means someone else has our info. We got to go whack that dude.
That's why he threw Cooper's name in it.
Totally.
What you're thinking.
Yeah.
I took it as he was basically tasking Raymond to eliminate Cooper. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the way it came across for sure.
But why would he task is the question, and I think it's because that flash drive has a tracker on it.
I guess it does. I mean, all we know is that the flash drive was stolen from the guy's safety deposit box. That's all we know. I don't know. I mean, if they could track it, and they would have found it by now before whoever dropped it in Cooper's cup, right? Or are you saying it only tracks when it turned on?
Exactly. It has to be powered.
Oh,
and so now that it's powered with the computer, and then the Wi-Fi signal basically picks it up and can read the data, it can send the ping over the internet.
Gotcha. Well, then, I'm learning stuff about this show that I was there.
Well, then wouldn't
your podcast? You guys bring to light a lot of things. Like, I read these scripts and we churn through them every 8 days, and it's like I'm on the next episode. I already forgot what happened in the last episode, and I can't remember names. But then I listen to you guys on my drive to work, and you bring to light the story that I miss, even actually shooting it. Enjoy it. I enjoy you guys a lot.
Oh, I appreciate that. I assume you mean Troy mostly, but
I mean Aaron, really.
All right, so Red, he enjoys a meal in their restaurant, and he does make a statement that I think is important. I'm not her father. Maybe if I were, I would want to understand her even better. Perhaps she wouldn't be so determined to kill me. Now, I just got to ask Troy, that does to me put, even though I've already put it to bed a long time ago, that puts to bed, well, the one question that's, some people still believe that he's still her dad, which I don't know how you could, because they've said it many times that he's not. But it also kind of puts to bed the whole mom thing. I know you're going to say, well, no, he didn't say I'm not her mother. Well, he was speaking for himself, and he said father, which means he knows that that's who he would be. I just think in Dembe's presence, he would have said something else if he was actually Red Arena.
I wasn't even looking at this from a Red Arena angle of perspective at all. I was just looking at it as for all the people. Of
course you weren't.
For all the people that still think that Red is OG Raymond Reddington, and where they said that the OG Raymond Reddington is Elizabeth Keene's father, and he just said, I'm not her father, which means I'm not Reddington. I think this is another way for the writers to say, we told you people that there are fundamental truths in the show, and the fundamental truths is that Red is not Raymond Reddington, the naval officer that was getting framed by the Cabal. Red is a completely different person imposing himself as Raymond Reddington. Therefore, Red is not Elizabeth Keene's father, which also in this statement also says for the people that are thinking like, well, maybe Raymond Reddington was like the biological father, or maybe Red was the biological father and Raymond Reddington was just raising her. I think this also puts that to bed, that Red has no fatherly connection whatsoever to Elizabeth Keene. Period.
I would say parental.
End of state.
I would say parental. He was speaking of himself in his own presence of self with only someone who already knows whatever the secret may be.
Exactly.
He would have said he would have chosen other words if that was the case. That's right. What I'm saying. So you hear that, Pepe? He said right.
Well, I said right that he's not the father, 100%.
I said right that it means he's not father or mother. I think he obviously cares about her, though. So there's some tie, I think, to some degree. But I don't know what that tie is. He could have just grown to care about her over the years, too.
It's possible.
Mm-hmm. Or he has to keep her alive for a specific reason, and maybe that's the way. Maybe that's the reason.
Aaron has spoken.
All right. Like all good things, it's sinfully bad for you. Remind me, because you wrote that, because this week Troy had to do the notes because I didn't have time to. So explain that to me, because I don't remember that one.
That's when he was like,
forgetting?
They're serving up the meat and potato casserole from Sarajevo. And he's telling Cooper, it's like all good things, the meat and potato casserole is sinfully bad for you. So he's basically saying like good things in life are also sinful, like Oreos and Coca-Cola and all the things like Anthony's chocolate he was eating before we started this episode, my M&M sitting next to me, like all of that stuff. It's all bad for you. Or he's actually trying to make a statement that good things can never happen to him because anything good is bad. So therefore, in order to be himself, he has to be bad to be good.
Do you really think that Reddington, every time he speaks, there's a double meaning behind it, or is he just talking about cholesterol?
Yes, he believes that. Everything.
It seems a little heavy-handed for a character to be like, everything I'm going to say means something else. It's like, no, burgers are bad for you, but they taste so good.
Yeah, see, you and I get along. I know where you're coming from, because that's how I would see most things. Just like, no, he's just saying that, delicious flavor is usually not great. Ice cream is awful for you, but I love it.
Yeah. I do appreciate the in-depth analysis you guys do with the show, but sometimes I'm like I see it in the forums on your Facebook. They look real deep into things, to the point where I'm like, you guys are really reaching to the point.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even think, no. Remember, we shoot the episodes in 8 days. We get the scripts, we burn through them. We have a lot of details and a lot of things going on there, but nah, I think he was talking about cheeseburgers. Yeah.
Yep. I think you can usually tell.
There's comedy in the show. There's a lot of funny stuff. Like even the scene when Reddington and Dembe are laughing at the magazine, when they're waiting for the doctor to come out.
When they're reading Trendy.
They're reading Trendy and they're laughing. It's just some stupid, funny stuff like that. It keeps it lighthearted, because that's what I think people love about Reddington, that, he's not just a deadpan serial killer. He's the good guy, the bad guy, good guy. I call it the natural born killer syndrome. You love the bad guys. I watched that movie. I love that movie, but it makes you look inside yourself. Why am I rooting for these mass murderers? Why am I rooting for the criminal? What's wrong with me?
But the peeps in the forum that are on my side would say, hey, that was really cool that they were laughing at the Trendy magazine, because it reminds them of the Highlights magazine when they were in the doctor's office together the last time they were looking at magazines. So it's a nice throwback to earlier in the season.
See, that's a good one. That's a good one too. I like that. I always love homages. I love anything like that.
They like magazines. That's what I got. All right. Lloyd Wilkie. Lloyd Bilkie. Great alias. Weird, but it's Reds. He comes to meet Dr. Mickey Grundy, and then basically he's working with him to try to get to where Mary is. This leads us to Alban Vasali. He's the freelancer. He's caught by Red in order to get to Keen. We talked about that a little earlier, but Red is not the target, someone else is. Apparently there's a Paris connection where Alban was, and now Rustler and Park currently are. Cooper and him have a chat about Elizabeth and the fact that she kidnapped Mary from the airport, and Cooper finally agrees Liz has gone too far. They share that drink, and that's where Red got the fingerprint on the glass. So now I want to talk about Mary, Pepe, because Mary's essentially in somebody's custody. We assume it's Liz. We don't know that. They just say the woman, and we saw the back of what appeared to be Liz's head. That's all we saw. So we don't, that's why I still have my weird little thing that I threw out earlier about Red. But we're assuming this is Liz and this is her plan. We just don't know really what the plan is. But the one cool thing, or not one cool, but a cool thing about Mary is that she reconstructs her face. She has a fake ear. She has a fake cheek. She has like all of that. Now I want to know, how did you design that, or how did you guys work that together?
Well, it just so happens that I have it right here in front of me. So when we get the scripts, the first thing they say is that half her face is, burn scars, and she glues on a prosthetic face and a prosthetic ear and such to kind of like hide. It's the Mrs. Doubtfire thing. You put on a rubber face and boom, all of a sudden, look, I'm perfect. And it's such a beautiful thing. Yeah, obviously in real life that doesn't work that way. But the idea is like we make Francesca Faraday, who played Mary Bremer, fantastic woman, unbelievable. First time she's ever worn prosthetics in her life. And these were heavy duty prosthetics. We had to actually do a life cast, which is basically, there she is right there. This was actually in the show. This is the thing that she picks up. This is the face right here.
You guys can't see it, but we're looking at a face, and it's actually
this is the actual skin that they used on the show. She picks up the piece. So this is the actress's real face right here. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I sculpt what is basically this. And I'm going to show you, this is the actual prosthetic that sits on Mary Bremer. So in conjunction with the hair department, we slick back her hair, we glue this whole thing on, and then we do a fake ear. The ear that she pulls out of the box was actually a copy of the actress's real ear. And we did it in jump cut style. So that way we can cut around and make it look like she's actually applying all the makeup. Mm-hmm. At one point, she takes the ear and she puts it on, and then we cut to her real ear sticky. And what I did was I actually went and cut prosthetic and pulled her real ear out of the prosthetic, and then just now all of a sudden her ear's there. Move magic. And then we cut to her putting on the fake face, the rubber face thing like this, doing this, and then next thing you know, she's putting on blush. And look at that. Perfect face, She also wore these burn scars all the way up her arms. Basically were just like these transfer makeups. If you imagine like high-end 3-dimensional Cracker Jack tattoos, that's what they basically were. These long pieces of paper, we wet them and pull them off, and then you have your burn scars. That's cool. She was so cool about it. It was, like I said, it's the first time she's ever wore prosthetics in her life, and they were pretty extensive. I had her in the chair for almost 3 hours. We only had to do it the one time, and like I said, I loved every minute of it. It's so nice to have an actor who is accommodating to wear prosthetics and then has fun with it and actually works with it, as opposed to saying, I can't wear all this stuff and the glue. And, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. We try and make it as comfortable as possible. But, it's still like there's something on your face for 6-7 hours, just like pulling at you, Imagine if you had like a huge Band-Aid right there, and every time you smiled, you felt it. It's like.
Well, I think we've all, if you're any appreciator of Halloween, at least one Halloween, you've tried to do some face makeup of some sort and it's obviously it's not close to what you do, but even that for several hours gets
That's
grating.
The exact same theory. You're absolutely right. I mean, you buy a rubber mask, something simple like that. You buy a rubber mask, you wear it out. You're 10 minutes at the bar with it, and you're like, I can't wear this thing anymore. I can't see, I can't breathe. Or then you get, today I'm going to glue on something. It's going to be a bad job. You do all this wax and blood. And then half hour into it, you're like, I'm all sticky and it's smearing and it's all over my fingers now. And I got it on my pants. And I'm like, Me personally, I don't like wearing it. I won't wear makeup. I do it for a living. I've been doing it for 27 years now. I have no interest in wearing it anymore. I used to do it when I was younger. Halloween and stuff. I'm like, I'm a prosthetic makeup artist. Look what I can do. And then it's just cumbersome. But no, it was a lot of fun working with Francesca on that, and she really sold it. And Christine Moore, the director, it was the first time we've had her on the show directing, and she was amazing. She knew exactly how to shoot that scene and make the whole episode work.
It was a fun episode, I thought.
Yeah, she had really, really great shots. I mean, even like we were talking about earlier, the prison scene, just the lighting and the angles to get the right reflections to be able to showcase through there, and then Wrestler and Park even in the reverse direction to get the lighting right through the bars. I mean, yeah, fantastic job for her first time out.
Absolutely. Our director, Christine, our DP Sod, our camera crew, all those guys, the entire crew on the show is amazing. You've seen a lot of them when you were there. These guys are amazing. The stuff that they do are just mind blowing. Like, I watch the show and remember I'm standing on those sets and they don't look like $1 million until I see it on TV. And I'm like, wow, that was a set. And remember, with COVID now, we're doing a lot of sets. We are not in locations. A lot of the show you see now are built. So they fool me every time.
Let me ask you about that. That's the end of the episode. Then we've got the Eastern Front. We already talked about that. And Red is basically worried that Cooper is in danger. So you guys have been doing these new restrictions for most of the season. And people love to talk and theorize and everything else. But essentially, it's like a lot of people are with their regular jobs, right? It just means, except you get tested a lot more. You get tested every single day to go to work. And And it just makes it so you have to keep less people around, or how does it work now, I guess?
So for my department, obviously my job requires touching people's faces,
Right.
cleaning, sleep out of people's eyes, trimming nose hairs. I am as close as you can possibly get to bodily fluids without being a doctor in a COVID world.
Mm-hmm.
It's frightening, but the Blacklist producers and the production has been amazing as far as how prepared they are to handle COVID. Every day we get a rapid test, and twice a week we get what's called a PCR test, where the difference is the rapid is in the nostril, the PCR is all the way up in your brain.
Mm-hmm.
We get our temperature checked the minute we walk in the door. We walk on our bands. As makeup artists, I'm required to wear 2 masks. I have the fabric mask and I have a KN95 mask. Then I have a face shield and I have to wear rubber gloves every time I touch an actor. We sanitize our brushes literally after every actor. I do their makeup and then I'll put them down, I'll clean them, and I'll take another set. So if I'm covering Diego that day, I'll do the makeup and then I'll put the brushes, clean them, UV lights, boil things. We are just doing our best to keep everything out of reach. The hard part is obviously, we're still a show and we have to film, but the hair, makeup, and wardrobe departments are now separate from the rest of the crew because the whole goal is to keep the actors safe. The actors are walking around without masks when they're on camera. So obviously there are things like we don't need all the crew, get them out of there, or the hair, makeup, wardrobe, we will last look away from the crew. We won't go to set anymore. They now pipe the feeds into our phones so we don't have to stand at Village and watch the monitors anymore. So they made it very accommodating. They basically put us in a bubble, and we work in the actor bubble because we're the closest people to them. The rest of the crew get tested regularly. I don't really see them anymore, though. So the camaraderie is a little lost. I mean, I do miss them. I see them, when I get a chance. If there's major effects or I'm on camera, I'm on set, I have a special mask that I wear, which is a KN98 mask with ventilators and a motor, and it circulates air. It's a whole big hazmat suit apparatus. But it's been hard, and we get tested every day, and some people will get positive cases and they'll just say, we can't shoot with them anymore. They'll switch them out. And we've been very good. We've had shows in New York City who have shut down because of COVID, like other shows, other network shows and other cable shows I've heard of where they had a cluster or they had an outbreak, But from what I'm hearing, a lot of shows are not as diligent as the Blacklist as far as keeping the show on the air, keeping the show in production. I mean, if that makes sense. So
no, it does. Yeah,
it's scary. It's scary. There are times where I come home and I have 2 children. I have a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old, and I can't take that chance. So I literally disrobe, shower before I even see them, or desanitize as much as I can. Even though they say, oh, it doesn't live on surfaces, or, you have to be 15 minutes. I'm still in the mindset of it's floating in the air right around me and I can catch it. And if I keep that mentality, I'll be safer about it.
True. Yeah. Mentally, you'll just be more prepared. You're planning ahead. You're thinking about it. It's conscious.
It's scary. When it first broke in March, when we shut down, the first thing I said was how am I ever going to be a makeup artist again? Who's going to let me touch their face? Are you kidding? So,
and they figured it out.
Yeah, we figured it out. We figured it out so far, and so far it seems to be working.
That's good.
That's great.
Fantastic. Well, just keep powering through. Vaccines are coming out, so hopefully that'll help.
The numbers are dropping, so that's a good sign. So
absolutely,
all we can do is just hope at this point.
All right. I won't tell you about how Troy's having a backyard party this week. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Not here. I don't even have a backyard.
I don't think you've left your house but 3 times in the last year.
Yep, just to go to the movies the last 2 weekends. That's the only time I've left in a while.
Yep.
You guys, movies are open over there?
Just in the last 2 weeks. Yeah, just in the last 2 weeks.
They're just reopened.
Still don't have movie theaters yet.
It's very sanitized and it's very limited. No one sits anywhere near you. They clean them. There's hardly anybody going, really. I mean, there's people.
What's the point then? Why not just watch it at home on your 60-inch?
because the Lord of the Rings was
Pepe.
released in 4K IMAX, and my son hasn't seen it, so that's why we went. We've gone every weekend. So this weekend we're going to see Return of the King to finish it up, and it's amazing.
Isn't that the movie with 9 hours of a bunch of guys going to drop a ring in a hole?
Yeah.
Nobody thought to take the eagle.
The eagle. Yeah, the big freaking eagle. Lord of the Rings. I understand that. No, I don't, because
my wife and I have gone. They were closed for a couple months because of our numbers in this area got too high. But they opened in July and they were open until November, and then they reopened just a few weeks ago. And we've gone to a new movie actually every single week. So there are still new movies coming out. They're not doing as much box office, but just because
you guys are in Michigan,
Illinois, Chicago area.
We're both in Chicago.
Yep.
Area, yeah. So we just love I prefer the theater. You'll never convince me that home comes close. You know?
My son, my 3-year-old, has never been to the movie theaters. So I'm looking forward to that day, and we're training him. I mean, we're watching TV here, we're watching the Disney Plus and everything. But yeah, we got to do the movie theater soon, but they're not open yet. We're not doing it.
I think New York's a little ways out. You'll get there though. I want to take a second to say thank you to those of you that are supporting the show by going to Patreon. That's Patreon, patreon.com/theblacklistgsm. Special big thanks to our honorary blacklister, Patricia. Also special shout out to our task force members, Judy and Sharon, Rory, Karen, and welcome Bobby and Jen's now official task force members. All of those people receive cool gifts from us, and you can get a cool gift as well for donating at the $20 level or higher. You want a cool t-shirt or a coffee mug? You don't have to stay at the $20 level forever, just a few months to get the cool gifts.
And we are still releasing the episodes early for all the $5 patrons. So if you want the episode literally as the show ends on Friday nights, make sure you go on over to Patreon. That's patreon.com/theblacklistgsm. Click the fedora, put the money in the hat, and you will get the episode just as soon as the show finishes. But we got more great content coming up from all of you, the listeners, right after this.
Welcome to Smirk.
Each week, one of our hosts will write a story with a specific topic in mind.
After unraveling their tale, the fun begins as we identify and launch into a spirited discussion on the author's topic.
It's a meshing of creative storytelling, realistic discussion, and a healthy dose of humor.
Be sure to subscribe to Smirk on your favorite podcast app.
And visit our website at smirkpodcast.com.
This is the show that looks at truth, fiction, and reality with a smirk.
Hey guys, this is John Bokenkamp, the creator of The Blacklist. You are listening to The Blacklist Exposed on Golden Spiral Media.
Welcome to Res Rhetoric, that part of the show where we listen to wise words from Raymond Reddington. Then each week you can vote for your favorite in the weekly web poll inside each episode on our website, theblacklistexposed.com. This week our first clip comes when Red confronts Liz's lawyer about his billing practices.
Who let you in here?
Your assistant, lovely fellow, not very savvy. Probably not best utilized as the gatekeeper. Perhaps better suited to make coffee, chit-chat.
I know who you are.
Tell me, when you go on a business trip, do you charge by the hour while you're on the plane or in the car to the hotel? Or how about when you're enjoying the adult entertainment in your room? Is your client paying $1,000 an hour for every hour or minute that you masturbate? My goodness, and the world thinks I'm a criminal.
What do you want?
For Dick the Butcher to have succeeded. Henry IV, Part 2, Act 4, Scene 2, you've heard it. The first thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers. You seem like an appropriately loathsome place to start. Luckily for you, I want to know where Alban Vasselli is more than I want to sully my hands or reputation by something so obvious as disposing of you.
I don't know where he is.
But you know how to contact him.
If I do that, how do I know you won't kill me?
Because you still have a debt to repay. Elizabeth Keene paid you to represent Vasselli with money she stole from me. I want it back.
You want me to give you back my retainer?
Plus interest. There's the phone. Tell Alban his life is in imminent danger, that you can't discuss it over the phone, and set a meeting. I think this qualifies as an emergency. Wouldn't you say, Scooter?
Our second clip comes when Red questions Dr. Grundy on his medical practices.
What a pleasant surprise. Quite the environment you've created here, Mickey. I can't tell if I'm in a waiting room or a gentleman's club. My mouth is positively watering for a smoky single malt and a smooth draw to Twahe, Fausto.
Well, a good first impression is imperative to setting the tone for a satisfied patient experience.
My goodness, how far you've come. You know, they used to call Mickey here the backroom butcher. If there was a cash payment involved, he'd operate, no questions asked.
Colleen, the break room could use a fresh pot of coffee. You mind?
There wasn't a medical procedure in the book you wouldn't perform, or at least try to. Of course, that was after they stripped your license. Cocaine, was it? But you kicked that and saved up enough to buy a brand new identity for me, and look at you now.
Raymond, please, if any of this ever got out.
Well, it doesn't have to. Listen, I'm looking for a woman, a Mary Bremer. 3 years ago, she had a mishap near the Syrian-Turkish border, suffered terrible burns requiring the kind of discreet medical care you once provided.
I don't know her.
But I suspect you may know the sawbones who treated her.
You want me to sell out another doctor?
Well, if it makes you feel any better, the patient trades in chemical weapons. She's a scourge on the human race. Help me find her, and your past remains in the past.
Which do you like more? If you feel the hour is running out, vote #RedEmergency. Or if your mouth is watering for a single malt, vote #RedClub.
All right, Special Agent Intel. This is our first one. Turns out Steve, I'm Steve81 on Twitter, is a prophet. He said, maybe I'm naive too, but I don't believe Liz would let out a mass murderer just to be used as an asset against Reddington. We could get a Freelancer conclusion with the rest of the plan and be vindicated for my faith in Team Liz. Well, you're right. Team Liz for the win.
Alice Peterson said, a matrix of tests. LOL. A red pill? A red pill is a trans allegory. Fan theories have suggested that the red pill in the Matrix may represent an allegory for transgender people or a story of Lana and Lily Wachowski's history coming out as transgender. During the 1990s, the predominant transgender hormone therapy involved Promarian, a red pill. Lily Wachowski confirmed that this theory was correct in August of 2020.
It felt like it was a reference just to the movie The Matrix, but you know, whatever you take away from it.
But you're saying that they can't earn the transgender reveal of Red Arena being possible unless they earn it. And here they might be plants all along, like the Shakespeare story from last week.
Whoa, Sparky. That's not earning. That's not earning it. That's an homage to a movie. That is not earning it, and it is not close to what I said. So no, we're not gonna put me on there. Earning that is very important for something like that to play, because the trans community deserves that to be earned. And I don't think the show has done that, if that were the theory, which I don't believe it is the theory, or that is the actual case. So this is where Pepe is wisely quiet. All right, Melissa Edmonds, Crep. Catch how he said
nothing though.
No, I gotcha.
I'm just enjoying listening to you guys go at it. I feel like I'm driving to work.
Yeah. It's like that. There you go. I'll throw that in there. Melissa Edmonds Krupp says, catch how he said he hopes it's sometime before his memories of Glenn fade. Could his illness cause dementia? Yeah, I would. That's what I took from it, honestly. Or he was just speaking of, the more time passes, because he's probably seen a lot of death in his life.
Or maybe death is creeping around him from every corner, like you mentioned a few seasons ago, and he thinks that Liz is going to catch up to him, and maybe he's going to die this year.
Maybe.
Just because season 9 is coming doesn't mean that certain people are going to be around in season 9. You never know.
I can promise you they're going to have James Spader on next year.
I would hope so.
I can promise you. I don't need to talk to anybody anywhere. If they're going to have season 9, Spader's going to be there.
But Pepe would agree, like, no one is ever safe on this show.
You know what we wanted to see at one point? A couple seasons ago, I can't remember the episode, but Cooper was trying to help this one kid he knew from the neighborhood.
Yeah, I remember
Season 5. He went after a drug dealer in the club. and he brought Dembe with him. And the drug dealer we thought it was the greatest scene ever because the drug dealer was like 4 feet tall and Harry's like, 6 something. He is a
large man.
He's a tower. And the scene is the guy stands up and Harry just backhands him. So we like, there's our spinoff, man. We need Cooper and the Blacklist, Cooper and Zuma. And that's all they go around. They are above the law. It could be like a Starsky and Hutch kind of thing.
I'd watch that.
Definitely.
Totally. They drive around in a Mustang. I mean, cleaning up DC one goon at a time. Cooper and Zuma, Fridays, 9:00. Totally would watch that. And then you get a cameo or two from you get a couple of blacklisters or, Aram shows up, hey guys, brought some coffee,
Well, you build the whole franchise around it. You get Diego and his brother, right? You get Wrestler and his brother doing the cop thing in Detroit. And then they have to team up on some interstate thing to do the crossover episode. And you got 2 shows back to back.
Yeah, that was a fun episode too. And Anthony Michael Hall. Great casting choice too. Totally bought that he was they were brothers.
I still hope he comes back because I thought he was great in that.
He was great. Yeah, who knows? You never know who's going to come back. I'd be surprised. We very rarely get I can't think of a time where we've had A-listers come back numerous times, unless they were the big bad, like Alan Alda or David Strathairn, something like that. I can't think of any time we've had repeated major actors on the show.
What kind of guy is Peter Stormare?
Funny.
I always wondered, I bet you he's probably the nicest, funniest something guy because he always plays the worst.
Gentle giant. He plays funny. We talked about Lebowski. We talked about Fargo. We talked about Berlin. He was a good guy. I was sorry to see him go. I always get sad when they kill off the fun guys, the fun actors on the show. But Stormare was a lot of fun. We had some good laughs there.
That's good to hear because he's always playing a heavy. He's always playing the weird oddball. That's usually
that's the role, and he does it well. But I've seen him play he even played in that Seinfeld episode with the Frogger.
I remember that.
Yeah, he's one of the goons who's trying to move the Frogger machine.
That was great.
Yeah, Stormare was good. We've had so many good people on the show. Tony Shalhoub was great.
Tony Shalhoub.
Reg E. Cathay we had on the show. Michael Massey, people who pass away on the show. We've had people actually pass away in real life who've been on the show. And then ending up with Clark just now. We've had so many fun people on the show. I've been very fortunate.
Michael Massey, I did get to talk to him many years ago. What a sad story that guy had. He passed away, but
great guy. Obviously I didn't bring it up. That's not my place.
No, I brought it up. I'll even tell it.
I actually had him in the chair. I knew exactly who he was, and I didn't bring up the whole situation with the movie. And he came out with it one day, and the heartbreak that man lived through, knowing that he had a part in it, is just horrible. Yeah. And when he passed, I gave him a little memorial on my Facebook. I felt bad for the guy. He was really cool, really nice guy. But yeah, I miss him. He was good. The big guy I miss, Lance Henriksen. He was the shit. That guy still owes me a pack of cigarettes. He was great guy. So much fun. I was sorry to see him go.
I'll never forget seeing him, what was it, Hard Target, where he's going against Van Damme, and I still thought he was going to kill Van Damme, and I couldn't figure out why I thought that, but I'm like, he's just that cool. There's no reason why you should feel like he should intimidate Van Damme in any way, but he does.
No, we'll probably have Van Damme on the show at some point.
Don't tease me.
Well, speaking of great actors, this kind of goes back to what we were talking about with Harry during Harry's interview a few weeks ago. The Colonel from last week's episode was described as having lost his hearing. And this is actually true of Bob Hilterman, who was the actor that played the Colonel in the episode. So
that's true. Yeah, he was really, and he was telling, because he had an interpreter with him who was listening and signing to him, and he could read lips, but surprise, we're all wearing masks. So it's sort of like, I felt bad for him in a world where he learned to read lips. All of a sudden he lost it. So I would take off my mask right up to about here and kind of chin strap it and wear my helmet on it. And then I could talk to him. He was a nice guy. Great beard. I remember the beard. We had to really comb that beard out, but he was a great guy.
Linda Hood Cheney says, my randoms. 1, there have been several scenes through this season that look like the runners expected this to be the last season of the show, as did a lot of us. Wonder how shocked they were when 9 came out. I mean, I guess they had to ask for it, but just curious. Any thoughts, Pepe, on that? I guess
I was shocked.
Sorry. I completely zoned out.
All right, good.
Is that about season 9?
Yeah, were you shocked when you got the news?
Were you shocked that you guys got renewed?
Yeah. I didn't see that one coming. I mean, we had heard about, we every year, halfway through, we're like, yeah, they're going to do another season. But if you had told me in season 2 when I started the show that we would be at season 9, I said you were crazy. I never thought we would make it to 5. And the running joke I always tell people is like, oh, yeah, I work in New York City, but I live 80 miles north. I commute 160 miles every day to work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I took the job in 2014, I'm like, yeah, of course I'll work on the show. How long is it really going to last anyway? Famous last words, I'm already 7 years in. And I'm blessed and I'm thankful for it every day. But that's my running joke to all my new actors who sit in my chair. Where do you live? I live in Poughkeepsie, 80 miles north of New York City. So. But yeah, season 9.
When this is all said and done, I want to know what the odometer reading was.
I'll tell you right now, my car is a 2018, and I just turned it over 70,000 miles on it.
Wow.
Find a train.
Years. Can't. The train gets me to the city at 6 a.m., and I got to be at work at 5.
42.
Yeah.
All right. Well, number 2, I have absolutely zero interest in Park and the Warrior Jeans storyline. Will most likely be fast forwarding over those. Okay. Number 3, while Huey was more than amazing, it would have been nice to have a guest actor that had a personal relationship with Clark. 4, since when has Ram not been able to break something? Think his NSA guy must have some future play. Well, I think we got that in this one. Since he can't get in the drive, maybe he doesn't know Russian. Number 5, I love to watch Amir act, especially in the high stressful situations with Red. That pair is incredible. And since Liz has the freelancer, shouldn't she also go to the blacklister who would replace people with doppelgangers, or is he dead?
Replace people with doppelgangers.
Oh, yeah, the one that I never remember the
John
names,
Noble
but I
did
remember
that too. It was the whole.
John Noble made masks.
Yeah.
Did he also architect the entire concept of you can only come and show up?
He would make them act apart, but he didn't make doppelgangers. And I don't know. That's a good one. Wouldn't it be funny if the NSA guy is the other computer tech from Redemption?
Yeah, that would be fun. I
wonder about that.
That would be fun.
I don't know.
I want to go back to the guest having to do something with Clark specifically. What would have been cool is I thought that I'm totally blanking on the actor's name now. The guy that played Robert Vesco.
Stacey Keach.
Stacey Keach. I guess Stacey Keach and Clark. Stacey Keach and Clark were friends, and Stacey Keach can also play piano. So it would have been cool if Robert Vesco would have been in this episode, so that way he could have done a piano thing or something. That would have been kind of cool.
I see where you're going with it, but I love the fact that Robert Vesco got one over on Red and never to return.
Right.
As much as I love Stacey Keach, we talked about Cheech and Chong all day, and we talked about Class of 1999 and all those bad movies he's done. And he was a lot of fun. One of the most professional actors I've ever seen. We had him out there in the cold for hours. He didn't complain, didn't bitch, sat right. We offered to put him in his trailer. He's like, no, I'm going to hang out here. Really cool. But Huey Lewis is great. We talked about We Are the World. He gave us a harmonica solo in the room. Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was awesome. He was so much fun. We blasted his music, blasted Huey Lewis in the news pretty much all night because it was literally the day before Christmas break when we had Huey Lewis in that scene.
Oh, that's
cool.
It
was just a party. It was a total party the whole day. So much fun.
That's cool that he's a good guy. I mean, you always wonder when somebody's been a star as long as he has, what they're going to be like.
The guy's, he's a rock legend at that point, You just don't meet Huey Lewis. It's like when we had Paul Rubens on the show. You just don't meet Pee Wee Herman. It's like meeting Mickey Mouse, You just don't meet them. There they are.
Well, I mean, you meet Andrew McCarthy all the time, and he's
Andrew's cool though. Because his new book just came out, the Brad Pack. So he's offering signed copies to the crew for $40.
For $40?
Yeah, he's trying to sell it to us. It's a joke. You'll go on the radio. And by the way, we're rolling in. Oh, and also, Andrew McCarthy's new book, The Brad Pack, is available now in the War Room, signed by Andrew McCarthy. He's funny. He's a lot of fun, man. You know, it's fun to watch him. And he's done a lot. He's actually done a lot this season because we can't fly in Los Angeles directors right now because we can't quarantine. So Andrew's done a lot. We've got a lot of New York directors now. Like Matt McCluda, the guy who just directed the Glenn episode. He was our first AD in season 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was our first AD. And he went to go do Billions for a while, came back and directed our episode.
I suppose it makes sense because you've had Court do the directing, and then we haven't seen Kurt do an episode in a while.
No, you won't see any of the LA people. Bill Rowe, Kurt, a lot of those guys. You know, we can't fly them in. Plus, they don't want to get on a plane either, you know?
It's true.
Terrence, you know, a lot of them are getting on in years, if you will. So they're not so quick to fly to New York just to shoot 8 days of a show.
Well, speaking of illnesses, Dale Hall said his theory on Red's illness, recurrent acute neurogenic pulmonary edema. And it's based on the tidbits of information presented in the show. He has actually been experiencing cerebral edema. I can say recurrent acute neurologic pulmonary edema, but I can't say cerebral. Cerebral edemas with neurological symptoms and repeated episodes of hematopsis.
This is his diagnosis because Reddington spit some blood on the window?
Yeah, basically. I think Dale does work in the industry, though.
In my industry or in the medical industry?
In the medical industry.
But he spit some blood on the window. He could have bit his lip for all you know.
How do we know that Dale, like, did you see his doctorate?
No.
How do you know?
Facebook profiles? I don't know.
I appreciate the effort, but sometimes I feel that they go a little too deep. Sometimes you got to take the show at face value and then be surprised at the things they throw you, as opposed to sitting there and breaking down every frame. Troy,
I just take notes of the things that are important.
Sure you do.
Like, why did they use that word there in that particular moment?
You know what? I'd like to think that there is an ulterior motive and the writers are just really playing with my emotions. And yeah, that's a possibility. I think that's a distinct possibility. But sometimes TV show.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely a point where the fans are so into their camps and ingrained that the writers are like, well, how can we then use that to our advantage to bring them along and keep them interested in the show? But it's really a rope-a-dope at the end of the day.
I think they're trying more just to write the show.
Yeah.
It's my opinion. Well, that's going to conclude this discussion. So now is the time to recommend the Blacklist to your friend, your enemy, or your neighbor. And when you do, please also recommend they listen and subscribe to the Blacklist Exposed podcast. All the case profiles can be found at theblacklistsexposed.com and everywhere great or even mediocre podcasts like ours can be heard.
For more great Aaron and Troy hijinks, follow us on your favorite social media outlet. I'm at Troy Heinritz. He's at Aaron Smirks. Together we are at The Blacklist GSM. Talk about the show, the podcast, or your favorite Paris hangout place. And just a big thanks for Anthony Pepe for being here this week. Pepe, where can people follow you and find all your fun stuff and all the cool things you do behind the scenes?
Like the kids say today, I am on the IG as Anthony Pepe FX, PEPEFX. You can also go to my website, pepefx.com. And I'm also on Facebook, Anthony Pepe. You can find me. That's pretty much as much social media as I do. And you can watch me. You can watch my show every Friday on the Blacklist, 8:00 Eastern Standard Time.
Big thanks for listening. Don't forget to answer our profiling question. Will Red kill Cooper?
Find out soon, I guess. They answer things quickly on the show. Hopefully Cooper makes it past next week.
Thanks again, Pepe. Thanks for coming on. This has been fun.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Anthony.
I'm glad. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
You bet. We'll see you next week. Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinritz. That's at Troy Heinritz on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinritz.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsiders.com or on Twitter at 5 popcorn. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback, but most importantly, keep yourself off of
The Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.
Do you guys listen to The Hollywood Outsider? I do. This is the part where the commercial comes on.
Exactly right.
You like podcasts? Sure you do. You're listening to one right now.